Back out in the lobby, I spotted two people who could serve as allies, a short boy with brown hair and a sandy-haired girl with glasses. Their names were Derek and Holly. I breathed another sigh of relief as I approached them. On several occasions, I had witnessed them exercise the ability to interact comfortably with Kristen, and I figured that since my physical form had no trouble interacting with them verbally, they would somehow be able to provide me contact with Kristen. As I approached them, they seemed to have noticed my nervous state right away. "Are you okay?" Derek asked. "You look a little green," Holly added. At that moment, no response seemed more appropriate than quoting a memorable line from a superhero action film. "Considering the fact that most people who get hit by that amount of radioactive energy don't live to tell about it, I say I'm doing pretty well," I said. Derek chuckled and pointed at me. "I love Zip Zap," he said. "Did you see it, Holly?" I asked. Holly shook her head and said she hadn't. Derek said some place of refuge. My hands began tearing at my head in anguish. My face screwed up in pain. My brain seemed to cry in agony. "Why do we have feelings? What are they even for?" My nerves flooded with excitement again as the two-way battle between my mind and I soon became a three-way battle. Calming my nerves is a bit tougher the second time. As a matter of fact, it seems about as possible as trying to keep yourself from drowning by drinking a large body of water from under you. My nerves continued to flood with excitement as I re-entered the lobby, which was now starting to fill up with pupils getting out of class or arriving for evening classes. Twiddling my thumbs, I watched as conversations sprung up all around me. I decided to try and weasel into a conversation along with Kristen, Cheryl, and several others that my physical form had no trouble communicating with. The conversation went from school, to guys or girls they had a crush on, to overprotective parents. "My parents are so overprotective," Kristen said. "I don't understand why—" Immediately, I set my brain to work, quickly trying to cook up something to say to Kristen. My mind was racing hard, too busy to allow my ears to hear the rest of what Kristen was saying. At last, I had it. It was time for my mind to take a hit. My heart thumped loudly, and my nerves pulsed ferociously, and then I spoke. "Well, your parents love you, and, never mind." The words came out in a crackly voice as small as a mouse. Kristen didn't seem to hear. Neither did Cheryl, and nor did anyone in the group for that matter. The conversation carried on to other things, and I was left with no choice but to listen and to wait for another opportunity to say something to Kristen, who was more of a concern to me, even though Cheryl was now tugging at a portion of my brain as well. My mind grew bored and began wandering back to its place of dwelling, where a wide selection of films on DVD lay waiting to be viewed. Boredom is not an excuse for me, however. On that note, I didn't want any excuses. I wanted results. Perhaps I could contribute to the conversation with another movie reference, like a line or an impersonation of some funny character from a cartoon or comedy film to help brighten things up. Things didn't seem to need much brightening up, however. Kristen's smile and laughter every now and then as she interacted with her friends confirmed that. It also occurred to me that people's minds weren't on films or cartoons as much as mine was. As my eyes drifted around the room, they fell on the cork bulletin board, to which was tacked an article about the Starroom Arts Senior Company and some awards they had obtained. Immediately, a light bulb clicked on inside my head. That was it. I could get Kristen to talk about herself and her achievements. The plan was genius. Now, I just needed to strike up a conversation and take it in that direction. Kristen seemed to be in a deep conversation with Cheryl. Something told me that it would be rude to interrupt them. Also, my brain couldn't conjure up anything to say to begin the conversation. The clock on the wall reached 7 o'clock. In half an hour, my time would be up. I began to apply so much pressure to my brain that it was beginning to ache. I refused to let pain stop me from getting the results I needed, however. I had to moderate the time I spent around Kristen so as not to give myself or my intentions away. One wrong move, and my chances of winning this battle against my mind would be gone. Getting desperate, I put even more pressure on my brain to try and engage Kristen because time was running short. My mind, however, is easily distracting my brain by engaging it in verbal communication with other people and occasionally rubbing it in my face. In the last bit of time I had left, I began pressing my brain as hard as I could. My body must be drowning in an ocean of sweat by now. Smoke must be coming out of my ears. Tension between me and my mind has now reached breaking point. My brain is in a dilemma ready to explode. My option was that my brain try to communicate verbally with Kristen and risk the possibility of utter rejection and humiliation. My mind's option was just to forget about it and face the regret that was sure to follow.